believe that we are live. I do think so. So welcome everybody. It's Mystar back with another video. Today I'm live talking to you about the astrological alignments. Okay, you already know what the go is. And if you don't, now you know. Today we're going to be talking about astrology. What is astrology, you ask? I just feel like breaking this down a little bit. Astrology is the study of the meaning and the reasoning behind a specific timing. So we have astronomy, which is the timing and the location. This is what causes people to know that it is summer versus when it is winter because of the timing and the location, right? So we have astronomy, timing and location. We have astrology, the meaning and the reasoning behind whatever timing and location you're experiencing, which is, when it's summer, you feel more happy, you feel more outgoing, you feel there's a certain vibe, there's a certain energy that you feel when it's summertime, right? So, and then when it's winter, vice versa. So this is the astrology, this is the mama, and then the papa, or the greater, the external, which is just like, these are all reflections of your own internal space, because we all make everything from the inside out. So papa is astronomy, and then mama is astrology, the feminine and the masculine. So if the masculine is the timing and the location, the astronomy, then the feminine is the meaning and the reasoning you put behind whatever timing and location you're experiencing. But in saying that, as well, you have your own internal astrology, or another aspect, another layer to this, the third layer, which is your anatomy. Okay, so your physical body. So these things all condense, and they're part of the same mechanism, condensing from one aspect down to the other aspect, which is from the mental down to the physical, or from the spiritual down to the mental. So it starts spiritual, the awareness, down to the mental, and then the mental down to the physical. And when you understand or overstand these things, then you start to be able to understand a little bit more about astrology. But as time goes on, your practice and your awareness of these things will start to develop too, because you have to build a mind. And if you haven't even become aware of these things at an earlier stage in your life, then it may take a while for you to accumulate that mind and build that awareness in this world. So you may only just have enough awareness or mentality to understand astrology on a smaller scale. But once you start to practice over time, you'll start to understand astrology on a much more greater scale. But with the saying that the papa, the mama, and the anatomy, the astronomy, the astrology, and the anatomy, these are all Native American hobbyism. So always remember this. Always pay attention to this, because you need to understand where the originator of the practice comes from, right? And the original practice came from animism, which came from Native American spiritual systems, which wasn't a religion, it was just a way of life. It was something that they naturally adapted due to their culture, due to their mentality, and the way they think and feel, which is their mentality. And if you want to learn more about how that is Native hobbyism, check out Dolo Parliament's YouTube. Dolo da Parliament. He will talk all about Native American hobbyism. The reason why I won't delve too deep into that is because at the end of the day, it's not my place to be speaking about someone else's culture and someone else's history. However, it's important that I mention this, because I'm about to do a form of Native hobbyism in itself by doing this astrology. Sorry, you guys can't see that, but I got the chart on this side, not that side. I keep freaking... Anyway, so, this is a form of Native hobbyism in itself, which, you know, as well, I want to start teaching this in a more open-minded aspect, in understanding that in actuality, even our understanding of astrology is still based on the Western Hemisphere and the Native Americans, because that's where it originated from. So this is why they have animals. It's like the animal totem kind of vibe, but you know, they're representing a certain characteristic that they want to portray. In actuality, you're meant to rise above these things. You're meant to rise above your animalistic natures. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, all these things are your like animalistic natures. Look at them as not something that you need to essentially rise to. You should be rising above these things. So no matter what sign you are, you're able to utilize the energies as you please, rather than the energies using you as they please. And this is where people find themselves washed under the current per se, because they're not understanding the astrology and what the meaning is, or they're not understanding the astronomy, the meaning behind the astronomy, aka the astrology, and they're not. And then in turn, they're struggling to understand their anatomy, because they're starting at the wrong starting point. They think it's anatomy, astrology, and then astronomy. So everyone's trying to figure out their body first, their physical, and then figure out the meaning and the reasoning behind things, and then figure out the astronomy, the timing and the location of what to do. But you should really be figuring out your timing and location. So where are you at in this particular point in time and location? What's the seasons where you're at? You know, here we've got summer, we're coming into summer. So that's astronomy. So paying attention to the timing and the location. Okay, it's summer, astronomy. And then astrology. What's the meaning and the reasoning behind that? You know, summer gets hot, starting to get hot, you know, people want to go out, people want to do things at the beach, they want to cool down as well, you know, because what happens when you get hot as well? You get excited, you know, you want to have fun, like all of those kind of energies. That's the astrology behind summer. So when it comes to the astronomy, during summer, your astronomy will play out based on how well you're able to kind of rise above or understand the astrology and or the astronomy and the astrology. Because in actuality, you're like, these things are like one and the same. And when you can understand yourself, then you'll be able to understand the astrology as well. But astrology and astronomy is also a tool of understanding yourself. So when you start at the main template of understanding the timing and the location, the astronomy, then the astrology, the meaning and the reasoning that timing and location has to you, or as an overall to the collective, then, you know, you'll be able to understand your anatomy a lot better. You'll be able to understand why there's certain things going on in your anatomy, all the way down to you being able to avoid certain sicknesses because you knew the astrology and the astronomy, aka you knew, for example, Virgo. During Virgo season, the more times you start to put thoughts and feelings into an area, it will condense, because Virgo rules routines and patterns. This is like kind of like a representation of creating a physical aspect to our body, almost. So when it's Virgo, it's going to manifest into a physical aspect of our body, especially because it's an earth sign, you know. So you need to be aware. If it was Virgo season, you would know not to overthink so much, or to direct your overthinking into areas that are more productive, that'll help to cleanse or clear your overthinking mind state. And then you'll be like manifesting better things rather than manifesting sicknesses. And you will even notice that you start to get less sick the more you start to practice stuff like this. But you know, you won't know until you try. But I'm here to tell you that it's a fact in general for, you know, many people to be experiencing it anyway. There's some truth to that. But, you know, a lot of people get lost into like the hocus pocus, fake imagination type astrology. And then they start to think that like astrology is just like as simple as you having a sun sign or you having a moon sign. Well, not even the moon sign, but you know, you get the idea. It's just as simple as like a 1 and a 2. When in actuality, you have, you know, you have many different planets, you have many different signs, and there's many different combinations of those signs. Because you may be in Aries and someone else may be in Aries, but you may have completely different rest of your chart, and vice versa. That you both might be Aries, but you may have like a lot of similarities in your chart. So it's important to know this too. But right now, let's get into the astrology right now, you know, like what's going on now. Okay, so we have a moon in Cancer. So with the moon in Cancer, which I'm not entirely proud of that whole Cancer thing, because that's like someone's imagination. That's not even something that we're able to observe in nature. That's not even based on astronomy. That's not even based on astrology. So, you know, like, what kind of animal would a Cancer be? And this is why it's important to learn from Native Americans, because they actually know the characteristics of the animals rather than you developing the characteristics from someone's mind, which is like Cancer, Gemini. Like, those are things that someone thought of, you know what I mean? Based on the energy. So they created like a fake inanimate version of that energy, which is Cancer, Taurus. Like, I never heard of a Taurus animal. I never heard of an Aries animal. I've heard of a ram, but they don't name this. The sign is not called the ram. It's just called Aries. So you know, understand that too. These are man-made imaginations that you're calling the characteristics within you, which you have those energies within you, but the imagination of the person that made them, you don't necessarily have to have that within you in order to live out that as like a timeline in your life. You know what I mean? So whereas with the animals, you know, that's more natural. You can observe animals in nature. Those are not imaginations, you know. They may be an illusion because everything in the physical is an illusion, but they're not imaginations. They're actually condensed, so you can observe those characteristics as something that we all collectively made together. Teamwork makes the dream work. Otherwise, if it's just an imagination, that's only made by the collective of that person's mind, and then you joining in, saying that that thing is true, aka Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, so on and so forth. Sorry about that. So, when it comes to these kind of traits, you need to stop seeing it like, you know, more like that aspect. Start looking at it more in a realistic aspect. I want to check the volume as well, actually. Oh yeah, it's pretty good, but sorry about the little like thing in the background. I mean, who cares? Not even that big of a deal. If you're enjoying the video, you literally block out the background noise anyway. You just listen to the person, like, I already know. So, yeah. Looking like a freaking doll or something with my hair. Anyways, yeah, I wanted to check as well what animals what animals because we know that Cancer on the Western Hemisphere is summer. So we're like observing the crab is an animal that comes out in the summer on the Western Hemisphere. But Cancer over here, this is different, on the Southeastern Hemisphere. So we have Cancer over here is actually Taurus. So I know that goes Aries, Taurus, Gemini. I'm pretty sure that one is autumn, and then Cancer. So that would be winter. The Cancer would be winter over here, and then we can search up what type of animals do we observe in winter in Australia, because I'm on Australia landmass right now. So this is the kind of practice that they would do. They'd be observing the animals that are within their own atmosphere, rather than looking at their animals that they have within their atmosphere and their aspect of the world. We would be observing the animals that we have, because we live on a different space. We live on a different environment. So in actuality, you shouldn't even technically shouldn't even be staying the same, because we're constantly changing. The only thing that's constant is change at the end of the day. So for something to constantly stay the same for like thousands and thousands of years, that's shows stagnancy, that shows lack of evolution, right? That lack of progress. So for them to have the zodiac stay the same for however long it's been, which they say is like an ancient practice, right? And it stayed, the symbols and the signs have relatively stayed the same for quite a while. That's some stagnancy energy right there, love. If I ever seen one. Because of my YouTube channel, you see my YouTube channel change on a daily basis. My thumbnails don't even stay the same. My, whatever the heck it may be, it doesn't even stay the same. Even people who do tend to stay the same more, they're still not staying the same, love. They are, they would eventually develop to a point where they would start to change. But anyways, let's look at the animals during this time. So we have Western grey kangaroos, common wallaroos, red kangaroos, and the yellow-footed rock wallaby. Oh, what the heck? Don't know what any of those things barely are. Isn't that crazy? Living in the city, you don't even freaking get in touch with the natural animals in your environment to even know what the heck they are. Which at the end of the day, these are man-made terms in general. But still a good starting point to look at the animal, observe the characteristics of the animal, and if it fits with the sign, then that's a attribute of the alignment that we're going through right now, which we're trying to figure out Cancer, because we're in Cancer moon. And Cancer moon, all about being emotional, all about reacting and responding to the home, the privacy, and the family type shit. So when it comes to us being in Cancer moon, we're going to be in this world about when it relates to our home, our privacy, and our family. So, what are the things that we are at home and privacy with? What are the people we consider with our family? And then because it's the sun in Scorpio is like that transformational energy, right? So we're going to be transforming the way we feel, or transforming our home, privacy, and our family, or just the things that we're comfortable with or find comfortability in. So, or, you may be forced to transform the way you feel about something, with Cancer, because it's emotion. So you may just have to transform the way you feel about something within your home, privacy, and family, or just within the world in general. But because it's Scorpio, that's like that transformational energy. But if you're on, depending on what side of the spectrum you're on too, you may also be experiencing the negative side of Scorpio, which I forgot to mention in my other videos. But with the negative side of Scorpio, this is like that snaky, hidden behind the scenes kind of vibe, So you need to be aware of that, because people can be more in this energy during this time. Sorry, I literally thought I plugged my charger in, but no, it is not. So, people can be more in this energy of being deceitful or being like scorpionic, like lying, so on and so forth. All those kind of lovely energies that people love. So, as a sarcastic, I'm not meaning that people actually love that, in case anyone thought that I did. But anyway, that's probably a little bit of pandering from my end. So, when it comes to, oh my gosh, it's USB. When it comes to, this energy, you may be feeling like people are doing you dirty, feeling like people are manipulating you, feeling like people are doing things behind your back, or so on and so forth. Or it could be like that home privacy and family being secretive, or being like doing stuff behind the scenes from type shit. So all of those kind of energies may be prevalent now, so it's important to be aware of these things, but at the same time, remember that it's the energies as above, so below. And if you've been manifesting, certain energies prior, like overthinking about people doing you dirty, people being snake to you, then this could be a sign that you've actually manifested and developed this mentality for yourself, rather than this actually being something that's happening to you. Which I always say, the universe is not happening to you or for you, it is happening through you. So what are you allowing to go through you, or what are you allowing to stay within you? Because if it goes straight through you, you don't actually get affected by the experience. It just goes in one ear and out the other. But if you're allowing it to stay in you, once it goes to you or happens for you, then now you're starting to let everything affect you in your external realm. And now you feel like the world is happening to you or for you, when in reality it was always happening through you. You just didn't let it pass through. You let it stay into one little mentality and chakra and mind, and then you vibrated on that and wouldn't let it go, because you were like, no, I want it to be this way, love. I want it to be this way and that way and her way and cat way. So, and that's the vibes. So be aware of those kind of energies too, and be aware in general over Scorpio season, especially if you're a Taurus, because you may be like the type to think everyone's like so friendly or everyone's so open. But remember, it's your opposite season, Scorpio season now. So you need to be aware that, not everybody is going to be so lovey-dovey, friendly into the forefront as you, and it may require you at certain points to be more secretive, to be more behind the scenes. This is what Scorpio season kind of wants people to be more like, but it also can tempt you and draw you to want to sting someone, to want to go on that offense, or for you to be blinded by what is being presented to you, because Scorpio is behind the scenes. So you may think that what's being presented to you is one way, but in actuality, Scorpio is like real behind the scenes, secretive type shit. So something completely different could be going on behind the scenes as you don't pay attention. So being aware of that during this time will help you to keep a leg up. So if you even let's say if you picked up from someone, like this example, like this is relevant to me because I be smoking. So if you picked up from someone, right, and then you looked at the bag and you're like, oh, this looks kind of small, I feel like they might have ripped me off, then it's important to kind of track that down a bit, because it may be the case. Don't instantly jump on the offense and assume that it is the case, but it may be the case during this time because we're in Scorpio season. But again, don't get tempted by the energy of Scorpio making you want to sting everyone, making you want to go on the attack. Because Scorpio, it gets everyone real feisty and makes people want to fight and argue, because it's a Mars energy. You got to remember this, but it's the what's it called? It's the dark side of Mars. So Scorpio can hold on to shit. Like Aries be like getting angry and going on the offense, but they will also know when to let go. Whereas with Scorpio just holds on to shit and builds resentful energies when it's on the negative side, lower octave type energy. And this can cause you to feel like you, even though you may be the type to not really hold on to shit in general, you may feel like that it's justified during this time, or you may feel like you need to like go on the offense and attack someone for some certain circumstance. But in actuality, love, Scorpio season got the best of ya. She did. So you got to be aware of that shit too. Yellow-footed rock wallaby. Let's see. Wallabies low-key give Cancer vibes, I'm not gonna lie. Herbivorous. Okay. I'm trying to look at the wallaby to see if this is giving Cancer. Characteristics of Cancer: comfortability, home, family, like all that kind of stuff. You know, definitely kangaroos do be having like the pouches, like the home family pouches. You know, like they're giving that vibes. Description. No, this is not gonna help. Let's see their behavior. Solitary, but they may graze in small groups. Some species like wait. So we have yellow-footed rock wallaby colonies are made up of small groups of up to 100 individuals, each with a dominant male, females, and subdominant males. The dominant male will fight for females and mate with as many as possible. They live in rocky outcrops and caves in semi-arid regions. Wow, their numbers have been drastically reduced by European settlement. They face many threats, including predation, habitat destruction, isolation. Sorry guys, I've got a freaking ulcer there, it's freaking sore. Don't mind me if I make ugly looking faces. So yeah, this is definitely giving cancerish vibes, you know, like because it's saying a social species. They develop colonies of 100, right? And they have rich orange to bright yellow forearms. Okay, marked grey body. There's rocky shelters. See, like even the rocky shelters, the caves they go inside, like that's very Cancerian, you know, going into the cave, going into the home and the family. So this is the kind of characteristics that they would observe. And because these animals, they represent this characteristic of going within, going into the cave, the privacy of the home, the refuge that they create, the family system that they build with their little colony type shit. Masonry? No. Anyways, those are the kind of characteristics that we would observe with the rock-tailed yellowfoot wallabies or whatever the heck they were called. So, it's wallaby moon right now, yellowfoot wallaby moon, and with the yellowfoot wallaby moon, this is the characteristics of, you know, kind of going within, going to your emotions, observing your inner realm. So you'll be experiencing your emotions more heightened during this time because you're inside of that cave with the wallaby, you know, so you're able to observe and pick up on the different internal emotions that you may be going through, right? So these are all the kind of characteristics. And then like we have like a magpie sun or a crow sun, depending on which animal you want to choose, but they both represent similar characteristics. So with the magpie sun, aka Scorpio sun, whatever you want to call it, this is talking about the characteristics of a magpie. Like we all know that magpies very, very intelligent, right? They're able to kind of pick up and observe and learn and adapt, right? So that's that transformational kind of energy of Scorpio playing out there in the magpie energy. So when you look at the magpies and how they're able to adapt and they're able to learn, right? And then portray that to the actions, because sun is the actions, moon is your reactions and your emotions, right? Sun is the external, masculine, moon is the internal and the feminine. So the internal and the feminine is like going within, analyzing the home, tending to the home, taking care of the home, or making sure that everybody is within the home and is safe and warm and everything's comfortable, right? Whether that's emotionally, mentally, physically. And then the sun is the external, that's the masculine, that's how that looks. So it looks like you kind of really analyzing the different parts of your home, being able to interpret and see what's needed to be transformed, what's needed to be changed, what's needed to be adapted to in terms of your emotions or your home space and your home environment. So you're really trying to look at these things and adapt and change with the time, with the home, with the space that you're in. And so, or you're adapting and changing things for your space to be more sufficient. And then if you're in the lower octave end, magpies can be quite vengeful and they can be quite memorable in terms of people doing them wrong. This is a very well-known fact of magpies. So this is why I say and crows, I'm pretty sure, but I'm pretty sure it's magpies. So magpies. If you know anything about magpies, you already know this to be true. So these are the same characteristics, just played out in a different physical form on our atmosphere, on our environment here where we are, on the southeastern hemisphere, right? So when you know that, then you can tell, oh, okay, so someone as well, if you're able to observe the characteristics, someone as well maybe like going deep within a space or a cave or a hole and tending to the wrong type of things, tending to the wrong type of emotions, thinking that in order to do or achieve X, Y, and Z, I need to act and be in this way. When in actuality, that may be led by a false pretense, because you may be led by your actions, which is in the sun, which could be predicated based on a desire, aka based on a vengeful energy that you're stuck in and you're not able to get out of, and you think it's justified because you're like the magpie that's just like, yeah, like I need to get this person back, I need to freaking fight them, I need to attack them because they made me feel a certain way, because they made me feel like this, you know what I mean? So that's all that Cancer energy being expressed. Cancer. That's all that yellowfoot wallaby energy being expressed through that magpie energy, right? So the more you're able to start to be able to understand this energy on a greater scale, the more you'll be able to expand and grow out of that space, rather than letting yellowfoot wallaby moon and magpie sun get the best of you and make you feel like you need to like act on your emotions or attack someone due to your emotions or the way they made you feel because you feel uncomfortable around them or something like that. So that's the yellowfoot wallaby and the yellowfoot wallaby moon and magpie sun. So that's an example of how we're able to observe their characteristics, but without looking at the before that looking at the characteristics first within myself and knowing what those characteristics are, which is, the characteristics that I was exhibiting within the animal, because if I wasn't aware of those characteristics, how would I know that the animal would exhibit those characteristics in itself, So I have to be aware, have some knowledge and wisdom based on those characteristics, and then I observe the animal and I'm able to say, yes, I know this animal has this characteristic because I've experienced this characteristic within myself. So this is why everything is internal then external, and it's important to know this whether you are learning the original Western native astrology or whether you are, developing a system of understanding the astrology that's within your own environment and your own space within Australia, with the yellowfoot wallaby, the Scorpio sun, all of these kind of things, are very important because the yellowfoot wallaby is relevant to the atmosphere that you stay within, as well. Like there's also certain animals that exist within your atmosphere that also exist within the atmosphere where astrology was first birthed and created as an idea, as a first seed, right? And then as well, you need to understand as well your own traditional native indigenous cultures had their own form of understanding astrology, astronomy, astrology, and anatomy. This is why they had their own systems of understanding the timing, the location. They had their own seasons and so on and so forth. They had their own meaning and the reasoning behind the certain seasons. Okay, so this is their form of astronomy and astrology. But Native American is a very, I would say, like I haven't fully researched into any Maori or Aboriginal ones. I've just kind of lightly read about them. But I know that Native American one is a very fully developed. It's a very, I can't even find the right word, but you get the concept that I'm trying to go for. It's a well fleshed out system, and even in some way, shape, and form, the Western astrology, aka the native hobbyism version, that the colonialists adapted based on their observance of the Native Americans. This is still beneficial in its own way for us to be able to understand it from a more logical left brain perspective, but we also don't need their imaginations with it. We don't need their stories behind it, which is based on their own mind. You have your own mind within yourself, right? So you can think for yourself and you can act for yourself. So you don't need to be going by someone else's template that they thought and they acted on for themselves, But with the Native American astrology, it's just observing the characteristics that's natural within our atmosphere, and you're able to observe those characteristics within yourself. So really, it matters not what animal or what name or what imagination you put to it, because you're just observing the natural state of things. It's not someone's imagination that they exhibited within their mind. It's the natural state of life that you're presented within front of your eyes. This is how you should be learning, by observing the natural state of life in front of your eyes, So this is how we can raise our awareness and be able to learn astrology on a more expanded, grander scale, rather than limiting ourselves to the bullshit kind of watered down version of astrology that the colonialists try to give everyone, which still has its benefits. I'm not here to hate. Like it's a awesome system, but we need to call it what it is at the end of the day. It's native hobbyism, and like they didn't necessarily have a system like this themselves in order for them to have to copy and adapt someone else's system. Otherwise they would have just already had a system and then they would have probably brought it together. But no, they had to copy the animal totem, the whole entire thing of animism, of being able to observe a characteristic within you and being able to like observe that characteristic in nature, and then to be able to like understand the meaning and the reasoning behind, and the astronomy, the astrology, and the anatomy behind all of those things. So connecting those things. The Native Americans were able to do it naturally. And if you're a part of any indigenous culture, you know there's some degree of them being able to do some kind of thing in that's more natural, without having to do written type shit, without having to do all that logical left brain type shit. But when you're able to combine both, your whatever ethnicity that you are, as well as the like whatever ethnicities that you're mixed with, that may be smaller on a percentage scale or bigger on a percentage scale, then you'll be able to adapt your knowledge and develop some kind of new knowledge, a new way of thinking, where you're able to grab both sides, you know, the more natural kind of internal feminine aspect of life, which is not so tied to logic and left brain type shit, and then adapt the left brain and logical type shit so that you can kind of utilize them as a tool. But always remember that it always starts internal, then external. So don't go external and then internal thinking that you're ever going to be able to understand anything, because everything happens from the internal and then the external. And you're just going to be lost for a long time thinking that you're going to be able to find something externally when it was internally all along, babes. So don't waste your time. Remember, what life is teaching you is internal and then external. Otherwise, you wouldn't think before you do something. You would just do it. So it's always internal, then external. Remember the way. So yeah, I want to observe more of the characteristics of what we're experiencing right now. So we only have the moon in Cancer. We don't even have any conjunctions. We have the moon in Yellowfoot Rock Wallaby, the sun in Magpie, right? I'm pretty sure that's the right, because magpies, wait, because Scorpio season is October, right? Scorpio season, October, November, yeah. Playful and curious, they pick up objects, they may jump to each other and mock fight. Yeah, remember vampires? Magpies can remember an individual's face and whether that person was good or bad. So, as well, what are the other animals that we observe within the time of October and November, which is pretty sure it's spring. Or butterflies as well, of course. Those are the vibes. And we also have bats. Those are another animal that we observe in spring that could be attributed to the scorpionic energy, but I don't know. That could be arguable because it could correlate to Scorpio or Sagittarius. So when it comes to the animals that come out in springtime, which is in Australia, October and November, these are the animals that we can observe. Butterflies, magpies, I'm pretty sure. What's it called? Even the flowers and the certain plants. So we got jacarandas. Never mind, those are not native to Australia. Those are from America. So yeah, plenty of rain, many flowers growing, many animals having babies, like we obviously know this. So but still, we still observe the butterfly during that spring season, which represents the characteristics that what we were talking about with the sun in butterfly. Okay, the sun in Scorpio, being able to transform, go through that metamorphosis, and being able to rise above. And those are the kind of Scorpio traits as well. But magpie might be a little bit better. Wait, what? With autumn being September, October, and oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, I just read something and I was like, wait, why are they trying to say that autumn is September, October, November over where we are? But no, they were saying the opposite. It's over where in the northern hemisphere. So yeah. Anyways, that's beside the point. You get the idea of what I was talking about, the characteristics of the animals that you're able to observe during that time, during that season, and that will be the representation, the physical representation of the natural characteristics.
Was I in the video?
No. So yeah, those are the representation of the natural characteristics that you'll experience during the sun. And then also we have Mars in Leo. So Leo is representing the character of that, putting yourself in center stage, having fun, being entertained. And because it's in Mars is all about your passions, your motivations, what drives you to go towards a certain goal or a certain thing in your life. So with Leo being there, it's going to be in more of that energy where you're going to be having more fun with going for your goals and your passions. Or you're going to be putting you on a stage for your goals and passions to be seen more in the forefront. So, you may be being seen or being put on center stage in terms of what you've been into passionately and what you're motivated towards more than usual. But as well, this is good energy that people can use, aka people meaning the shadow government. They can utilize this to put things on the forefront that will motivate people to react and respond, right? And especially because the moon is in Yellowfoot Rock Wallaby, or Yellow Wallaby, let's just say Yellow Wallaby. The moon in Yellow Wallaby is going to be, people are going to be more emotional when they react and respond to certain things. So now more than ever is the time that the shadow government will be starting to do more psyops on people to get a certain reaction out of them, or to entertain a certain reaction out of people. No, I could be wrong, but I'm willing to bet that I'm right about that about that thing right there, I'm willing to bet that I'm right. Okay. Then we also have, I won't search up any more animals as well during this video. I'll get that for the next video. But just as an introduction, now you guys sort of get an idea of the different characteristics, and I'm going to start to do less of the Western Greek astrology as time goes on, because, I'd rather present astrology from its more natural state rather than presenting astrology from the perspective of the colonizer. And the observer perspective, because if you're naturally spiritually inclined, you're not observing anything outside of you. You're observing your life, you're observing your world, you're observing the atmosphere around you. And so for you to observe the atmosphere and use the tool to help you to explain what you're observing, but that tool is based on someone who's observing it from the outside looking in, rather than someone who's actually experiencing these things. So that's what's important to know. It's always about your intention and your starting point. And if other people created something with a certain intention and starting point behind it, it may not always be the best starting point or intention for you to align yourself with by utilizing their system. But at the end of the day, it's your choice, but we want to, bring new ways of doing things. We want to bring new mind states, new states of being, and so on and so forth. So the more we start to practice being able to learn new things and new ways, then we'll start to achieve this more and more on a day-to-day basis. So, that's how we do. And remember, we're Gemini and Jupiter too. So, this whole entire pretty much Scorpio season, we would probably be feeling this energy like we are overthinking things before we jump into the experience. And if you're washed up under the current, you'll be experiencing this the most, and you'll be thinking that it's just you, when in actuality, it's a product of the as above, so below energies. So you need to be conscious of this when you're going out into the world. Remembering that we are Jupiter and Gemini. So Gemini is, I think it's detriment in Jupiter. So Jupiter doesn't like to be in Gemini because Jupiter likes to experience, it likes to expand, it likes to go through things and learn that way. Whereas Gemini is more of that person that likes to kind of observe and stay on the outside of things rather than delving deep into it and going through the experience. They would rather think about the experience, plan, and act accordingly. So just because Jupiter is in Gemini doesn't mean that that's a good time to do that, because you've got to remember Jupiter doesn't like to do that in general. Okay, so it's about adapting and changing it so that's more smooth for you, and it's not going to be so smooth if you constantly overthink your experience, which is what Jupiter and Gemini will lead a lot of people to do and make people feel like. So it's important to push through those thoughts and remember to just experience things instead of overthinking and adding so many thoughts and feelings to the experience before going through said experience. So yeah, when it comes to all of those kind of energies, these are the things that we should be aware of during this time, during this atmosphere, during this vibe. I'm just checking because I wanted to see that my thing shared. Actually, I was just checking because of something else that I need to do shadow work on. And that's the what's it called? Yellow wallaby moon and magpie sun or butterfly sun, kind of showing me what I need to change and adapt in terms of my emotional state, in terms of the way I react and respond, or in terms of the things I do in order to strive for more comfortability. So you may be thinking that there's something that would give you some kind of comfortability, but at the end of the day, it may just be something that's restricting you from transforming and adapting to the situation at hand. Okay, so these are the important things to note too. And then with our freaking any aspects, I want to check if we have any aspects right now, guys. So we have the Sun trine Mars. Wait, let me just see that. Oh, and Neptune. Okay. So it's like Sun trine Mars and Neptune. So we have this gift to act on our imaginations and use that towards our passions and our goals, or like see, I'm not always entirely sure which aspect to direct us through. Oh, but wait, yeah, no, actually I just realized, because everything is filtered through your sun, and you got to keep that in mind. So when it's a trine, you got to filter that through the sun, especially if the trine is in the sun, but at the end of the day, everything is going to be filtered through your sun, aka your action. So if the sun is in magpie, it's going to be this gift to what's it called? We're going to have this gift to have a passion and imagination to go for, or to transform our deep desires and our passions, aka which is transforming how we go about these, or how we act on these things, or how we express our deep desires and passions, because it's in the sun. So we have this gift to kind of transform and change these things and evolve these things over time, and like see what we can kind of adapt and change in order to actually like present this, because it's in Mars is in Leo, present this imagination, present this like deeper meaning and reasoning of why we act, or why we portray ourselves into the forefront, or whatever gift and talent or creative aspect of ourselves that we want to like kind of present. So all of these kind of energies will help us to kind of really transmute and fixate our imagination and our passions into a streamlined area for us to be able to actually um, act on transforming our deep desires and passions and so on and so forth. So that's a trine that we can utilize right now, and a trine is a gift. That's why I said it's a gift to go to transform or to act on our imaginations and our deep passions, right? So these are important to note. And then as well, with Neptune being conjunct with Saturn, we're going to be like feeling this energy of kind of getting more serious, or looking at like what kind of things we may need to restrict or hold back from in order to achieve our dreams and imaginations, or what things we may need to restrict because it may be blinding us and keeping us into an illusion with that Neptune kind of energy, right? So you're kind of analyzing and what's it called? With the Pisces energy, you're looking at like the deeper meaning and reasonings of why maybe some things may be restricted in your life, or why some things may be like hard, or why you may be so serious about something within your life. So these are the kind of energies that like Pisces and Saturn might ask you to kind of look at during this time. All right, so I think that's a pretty good wrap for today. Let me check. How long have we been on live? I feel like I've been on for like at least an hour. Because at this point, yeah, I've been on it for like 57 minutes. So I want to pull a card and then we will hop off, because I think I've explained pretty much most of what I can explain in terms of astrology right now. Anything else might just be me pulling shit out of thin air. And I don't want to be talking shit and being the blind leading the blind kind of thing. So, you know, me, I always like to spit facts, mate. Astrology, astronomy, numerology, no apology. So, any messages or guidance for the collective? Yeah, the moon. So pay attention to your emotions during this time, and pay attention to your internal state of being and how you're reacting and responding to things, right? This is what the moon talks about. And also like pay attention to the behind the scenes of your life, right? So this is what the yellow wallaby is like telling us when it's in the moon aspect, right? It's telling us to pay attention to our inner space, our cave, tend to our cave, cultivate the right things within our own cave that helps us to actually like have a better, more comfortable space for ourselves, right? Oh my gosh. That was so whack. So yeah, and then we have this, like we're creating like this atmosphere with the Three of Pentacles, creating a circumstance or developing an environment, a physical environment for yourself to be more comfortable, to have a more comfortable emotional internal space. And that starts with you first taking care of your emotions in the first place. You know, it's all fun and dandy to say, yeah, my life is shit because of X, Y, and Z. But like at the end of the day, you are in control of your own emotions. So, you know, you need to enact that tower, destroy that foundation of whatever emotional rock or burden you've put on yourself, and then you'll be more free. Otherwise, you just stay trapped in a constant cycle. In a constant cycle, and you won't be able to get out because you'll just be stuck in this mentality. Thanks. you'll just be stuck in this mentality of, oh, woe is me, you know, my life is happening to me and for me, and instead of realizing that you can just allow it to all go through you and you don't have to deal with none of this shit, treat it like it's nothing, and then boom, your life would be treated like it is no thing. The more you do things for no thing, aka a space, which is like all possibilities, which is the real God, not like the fake God that man made and tried to make everyone like worship and follow. It's about like no thing, which is just your space. And when a space becomes aware, it develops a mind. And then when it develops and holds onto a mind for a certain period of time, it becomes fixated and condensed. This is why we all have our own space, but yet you know that your physical body is not directly correlated to your space, because someone might not be right next to you, but you still want space and distance from that person, because you guys have a space, a no thing that you are not emanating, that you are emanating from the inside out and allowing yourself to create a mind for yourself. So when you realize that the more you treat it like it's no thing, aka nothing, or the space, then the more you will be able to experience being in that space of no thing, and you won't really experience anything in reality like it is something, because you treated it like it was nothing from the first place. And when it comes around, it is going to present itself to be like nothing. So that's how you can trick life and get into that mentality where you're actually what's it called? You're actually experiencing shit like it's nothing. So yeah. You guys, 2 of Swords and the 2 of Wands is what you guys need to separate from. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Again, as always, so we have the 2 of Wands and the 2 of Swords, so some form of relatability. So you may be relating your emotions, how you want to express your emotions or a certain passion, with your thoughts. And what I'm seeing here is you're probably acting too much on your desires, acting too much on the way you feel internally, or how the world is projecting you to react in a certain way. So separating from your desires and acting more in a logical kind of way, acting in a way that's more unique to you as an individual, developing your own mentality, your own individuality with the star energy, and associating with the right things for you to be able to have this chariot energy, to feel like successful or feel like you're charging towards something, or feel confident about the way you're going about your life and your decisions as well. Because you may feel that indecisive energy with the 2 of Swords, and you need to relate to more of that decisive energy, strategize, be decisive about where you want to go, about what's beneficial for you, and not fall victim to your lower animalistic desires. Okay, so that's all I've got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys for the next